now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Magandang araw po mga kababayan, Joy Anglin po. Nabili na po ba ninyo ang dish pack ng Miracle Brokers? Up to 200 pounds kaya pong ilagay dito. Halina po kayo, Christmas na sa Pilipinas, tamang-tama po para sa mga ate at kuya. Halina po kayo dito sa Miracle Brokers. Miski pwede pong ilagay dito sa box, pera lang po ang jowa nyo.
Contact us at 949-5989 or email us at info@miraclebrokers.
probably having a little bit of surgery today. And she's a very lucky dog to be alive this morning. So I don't want to get too upset or too emotional about it. But yeah, there was a bit of an incident last night. So I'm just going to leave that there for now. And I will discuss it at some other point. I think sometimes when you're really emotional about a situation, that the best thing to do is maybe to just leave it for a couple days, let your emotions subside a bit, and then we can talk about some of the issues. Good morning, Marshall. Good morning, Melita. Hi, John. So good to see you. Diamond Princess Sapphire, thank you for joining in. Olivia, Kara, Jamie, you guys are all here for the morning tea. Crystal, Lynette. Hey, Lynette, how you doing? Miss Beulah's course is here. I have a lot of pain in my knee today because of this incident. I ended up getting injured last night as well. So thank you, Morna. Yes, we are here for the cold hard truth. And Siobhan and Kathy are also here for the tea this morning. Thank you so much, Catherine. Oh, hi, Atlas, joining us from the UK. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with the camera this morning, but hopefully the mic is okay. Oh, Melita said she missed everything. So I was just briefly saying that there was an incident last night with Coco, and I don't want to go into too many details, but she was it's just unbelievable. Sometimes things happen and you're like living very surreal, if that makes any sense. Like you can't even believe that it's happening. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm still trying to process everything, to be quite honest. But I don't want to get upset, and I don't want a bunch of tears on the show this morning. So I just want to say that she's okay. We're hopeful that she's going to pull through this, and I will update you guys, and definitely we can have a discussion another day on what is going on. So yes, I think at this point it's just you know, sometimes all you can do is pray, trust me. So you guys know that Coco is very much a part of my family. So okay. Like I said, I don't really want to. We'll eventually talk about it, because I think there are issues that come out of all of these things that impact our lives, you know. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right. You know, there's probably, I wouldn't say very few things that get me teary-eyed, but I would definitely say that it's one of those things. So yesterday we spent quite a bit of time talking about the quarantine situation. And later on in the day, I started to get a little bit confused because I saw GIS, not GIS, but government on their website, on the Facebook page actually, saying that the new regulations came into force on Friday. Now, initially they had sent out a press release that said that it was published on Friday, which I'm assuming they mean the same thing as gazetted, and that it would come into force for the 30th, which was yesterday, through the 31st of January. So when I started seeing yesterday that they were saying that as of November 27th, which was Friday, that this was in force, I was a little bit confused. I'm like, what is this? So apparently what happened, thank you guys so much. I am reading your comments. Apparently what happened was, I don't know if it was GIS or whoever they got the information from, they simply made a mistake. So what this means is that it did come into force. I verified it late yesterday evening. So it did come into force on Friday. So now the fine is $10,000. It's still a bit unbelievable that it took the government so long it was like a month, basically, before they did what they needed to do after the passage of the law itself. So, laws are kind of done in multiple steps, right? So they take it to the LA, they vote on it, whatever. If there's any discussion to be had, at that point, it's a bill, it's tabled as a bill. And the members of the LA will have their various discussions. I think most of the COVID stuff was permitted to go through quite quickly, obviously because of the emergency situation that we're in, but it did require the public health bill being amended. And we saw quite easily how in times of emergency, government obviously has the power to implement certain things. And that includes, emergency provisions, right? So curfew times, fines if you breach curfew and that sort of thing. And so I think most of us accept that in times like this, it's almost a necessity to allow government to do those things. So we do give up a certain amount of our rights in order to keep the general population safe. And we accept that that is a sacrifice. Now, it's interesting because in some countries like the US, they don't really believe in giving up their rights so much. There's a case a couple days ago there. I don't know if you guys saw that. I think it got as far as the Supreme Court, where basically they had sued the government. Some groups had sued the government that said that the government couldn't tell churches that, that they could not meet or that there were any restrictions during COVID. On the one hand, I suppose I understand people thinking that, well, governments are trying to take away their rights, take away their freedoms of gathering and all these other things. But in the middle of a pandemic, you kind of feel like, good morning, Halliday, that you are willing to give up those things just for the sake of, saving your life, the life of others, and obviously getting a pandemic under control. So on Friday, I said this to you guys yesterday, I was a little bit surprised when I heard that government had decided to, that they hadn't yet done all the back end stuff. So the gazetting and all that stuff, it's a formality, but it's a necessary formality for a law to be enforceable. And listen, they can get stuff gazetted very, very quickly, right? They have the powers to do that. So I was very, very surprised that it hadn't been done, because over a month ago, we understood that the law had been changed, a public health law, in order to allow for this $10,000 fine. So government has now come back, and they have, by way of GEIS, good morning, Elizabeth, buenos dias. They have now come back and said, oops, they had it wrong, that indeed it did come into force on Friday. So I'm hoping they know what they're talking about this time around. And what that means is the young lady who breached the provisions on Sunday would now be subject to the increased quarantine fine of $10,000. And I know to a number of you, when we were having this discussion on social media, a lot of you are like, oh, good, now she'll be fined $10,000. But up until yesterday, apparently they sent it out tucked into another press release that came out late on Sunday. And we didn't see that little final line of correction. We all make mistakes. So it is what it is. But I think that that's a good thing, because she will be the first example of someone breaching quarantine and at the minimum facing a $10,000 fine. To the best of my knowledge, that law, just like the previous one of a $1,000 fine, does not give the judiciary any flexibility with the fine. Now, there's a question in the minds of some people if she'll also be facing jail time. So people have said to me, is it a fine and 24 months or 2 years in jail? Or is it just a fine or kind of a situation? We could certainly look at the legislation and see, what the legislators intended. It's a very serious offense. So there's 3 pieces of legislation that were published on Friday. One is called the Control of COVID-19 number 3 Regulations 2020. The other one is called the Prevention and Suppression of COVID-19 Partial Lifting of Restrictions number 6 Regulations 2020. And the second one is Prevention, Control, and Suppression of COVID-19 Partial Lifting of Restrictions, Travel and Boating, number 6, Regulations 2020. So it says here in the press release that came out on Friday that the only substantive change to the regulations is to increase the penalty for offenses to reflect the new maximum penalty under the recently passed public health law. So this is where now we do have discretion, apparently. So it says that whilst under the previous regulations, all penalties attracted fines of $1,000 and imprisonment for 6 months, which no one has gone. So I don't know what that and is all about. They've only been fined $1,000. The amended law, my apologies, allows for fines up to $10,000 and imprisonment for 2 years. So when that says the amendment law allows for fines up to $10,000, obviously there seems to be a lot of discretion there. So it says that the courts will be able to impose the maximum penalty allowed by law when sentencing offenders. But what is the minimum? See, this now is where laws are written in such a way, and they did say the regulations would take effect from the 30th of November. Now they're saying that that was the 27th of November. So we will correct that story. So what does this mean? Does this mean now, because before it was like at least it was $1,000, right? Are we now in a situation where we have removed the absolute $1,000 and we have given all of the discretionary power to the courts, so that if they wanted to charge someone nothing out of the $10,000, could that be the case? Wow. Well, that is certainly not what we were envisioning this to be. Yeah, Alice, it's only a crazy high fine if someone actually gets the $10,000. Now, I know the judiciary. I sit there every single day. And I think that in most instances, they will not be giving anybody a $10,000 fine. Not when they have the discretion to do so. And this is where I'm a little bit disappointed. And I would have liked to have seen a minimum situation here. I understand that in a lot of instances, the courts, the judiciary, doesn't like to bind the court's hands. So they leave the sentence, especially when it comes to sentencing. They will leave it up to their discretion, because there could be a lot of instances where something happens with a breach that, you know what, maybe it was unintentional. I don't know how you'd have an unintentional breach, but, you know, they like to give that level of discretion to the courts, because ultimately the courts will decide an individual's fate. And so sometimes, from a practical perspective, prison isn't the appropriate sentence. It's kind of like when I said to the judge during my sentencing hearing on Thursday that, you know, there have been individuals in this country who've assaulted, like physically beaten women, right? And they walked away not only with no jail time, they actually walked away with nothing, not even a blemish on their record. So nothing recorded. So they can still say that they have an absolutely clean police record. And, you know, in my instance, obviously, the prosecution is trying to make a case for a custodial sentence. I have seen, as you guys have seen, individuals granted bail, and the most child abuse. You're thinking, how do you get bail for that kind of thing? But, you know, I've tried explaining this before, because I do think it is really important that we all understand the laws that govern us, and what those laws say, and exactly how they're interpreted. And you get a real insight when you sit in court day after day to see exactly what is happening in the judiciary. So this discretion is something that often is in laws. There are very few instances where the government will implement a minimum sentence. One of the few that has been quite controversial is the implementation of the gun law. So it's if you found with possession of a firearm, it's a minimum of 7 sentence if you plead guilty, and a minimum of 10 if you're found guilty but didn't plead guilty. So you get time off for a little bit of for actually a guilty plea. An early guilty plea is what they call it. So just a big shout out to some of my neighbors. I just had someone message me checking in Coco. And it's really good to have good neighbors for sure. So there were people who assisted last night in recovering Coco, so that, to be quite frank, she is actually alive today, because that's how crazy the situation was last night. So thank you guys so much for checking in. Yeah, so it looks like, unfortunately, for those of us who were hoping that this was a situation where she would be fined $10,000, as it turns out, from the wording of that, and I'm going to go into the law now, it does not appear that it will be a $10,000 fine. That's the maximum. So I'm just having a look at the control of COVID-19 regulations. This is number 3. And I'm just going to find the section that deals with, let me just adjust this monitor, that deals with the actual fine. So let me see if I can find it here, folks. So it says control of COVID, responsibility of costs associated with isolation and quarantine. They talk about police powers and functions of the medical officer. I'm just trying to see which section has the increased fines. Okay. Try to find it. It's well hidden in this piece of, it's only 8 pages long, but trying to find where it is. So it talks about restrictions on arrival. It talks about who can be exempted. We've discussed that before. So it says that when a person who arrives in the islands under paragraph 2 is allowed to isolate at a private residence, and there are other occupants who reside at that private residence who intend to stay at the residence during the period of quarantine with the person, those occupants shall, for the purposes of controlling the spread of the virus, and for such period as may be determined by the chief medical officer or the medical officer of health, be subject to such directions as are provided, blah, blah, blah. So in other words, they're going to make you quarantine. Okay, here we go. So it is, you got to really read these things, folks. It is section 3 of the regulations. This is regulation 4, subsection 5. It says a person who contravenes this regulation commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine of $10,000 and to imprisonment for 2 years. So a person who is liable on conviction to a fine of $10,000 and to imprisonment for 2 years. But the press release from government actually said, and of course this is now where we need a lawyer on hand, right, on speed dial, that the amendment allows for fines up to $10,000 and imprisonment for 2 years. I would love to see how the judges are going to interpret that in light of other legislation. Any lawyers here that can give us a hand? Crystal says it should be $100,000. Listen, it should be straight to jail, to be honest. Hi, Sean. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Marie Lulu, Kara says we're practically COVID-free. People who are returning and have to quarantine, if they breach, they're literally playing with everyone else's lives, should be jailed. If you get a second wave, God be with us. And yeah, that pretty much sums that up. So the bottom line in terms of now that government has said the original press release had an error in it, is that this young lady could be facing, and again, there's a little lack of, uncertainty in the exact monetary amount, but she could be facing a fine of $10,000. So let us see how that flushes out. I think we're going to have to wait until she goes to court. No indication yet of when that will be. Sometimes what they do is when people are warned for prosecution, obviously she will have to meet, during, she'll have to do it by Skype or Zoom or whatever. So she will not be there in person. But they don't always inform anyone of when that person will actually be before the courts. They do it like if someone gets arrested like on the weekend and they're making their first court appearance and stuff as well. They don't necessarily show up on the cause list. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see if we can find out. It does beg a lot of questions. So Kathy says that if she's fined and doesn't pay, I'm sure she will or should have to face a custodial sentence in lieu of payment. The public health laws are in place for a reason, and those who are taking this lightly and putting others in jeopardy, hopefully it will be a great deterrent regardless of the amount imposed. Well, unfortunately, some people, I think, are deterred by things like fines. And then there are people who just don't care. Maybe they have enough money already, and it's not really something that they concern themselves with. Hopefully, this is going to be a deterrent. Hopefully, the judge will fine her the $10,000. I think that when we have legislation like this, the judiciary can send the right message by making an example of individuals who breach the laws. So someone actually sent this to me. I thought this was quite interesting. They said that they can't fix stupid. Turns out you can't quarantine it either. So, a lot of people are just in shock of the breaches that we've had. Now, in real terms, folks, what do the breaches mean? Now, look at these numbers that came out yesterday. So this was since Friday, as of November the 30th. These are the current figures between Friday and yesterday. We have 8 confirmed cases. They're all travelers in isolation, and now they will remain in isolation until they can get 2 back-to-back negative tests. And so I just want to stress again, for the purpose of clarity and full understanding, because a lot of people continue to ask, well, why are people having to be in quarantine for, such an exorbitant amount of time? And, this is the answer. This is the why. At the end of the day, they come in and they are tested, and they may have a negative test at the beginning, but certainly by the end of the quarantine, that's not the case. And so 8 persons since Friday is quite a number. I mean, you got to think about it in terms of, our quarantine figures, even during COVID. When we hit, I think there was a day when we had 8 and everybody was like, we all took a collective gasp at that number. because everyone understood what that meant in terms of our restrictions and our infection rate, community spread, and where we were going. Don't know if you guys remember this, but there was that one day, and I think the number might have been 8 or 12 or something, when the chief medical officer said that wow, hold on a second. Now we are in a position where we thought we were making a little bit of headway. Now we've got 8 cases. I think it was 8 or 12. I can't remember the exact number. If you guys remember, let me know. But everybody was like, oh my God, this isn't good. This means we've got community spread. And we were really worried, because you've got to get this under control. And so when I see this number, 8 since Friday, we have, let me tell you how many people that are in quarantine. We have 800 and let me just verify the exact number of persons in quarantine. It's 800 and I think 30 something. Oh, I'm trying to find that email. But it's closer to 900 than not, right? So that is, a bit of a concern. Because listen, if those individuals, which we have seen, we know at least of a few cases, do not have any desire to follow the COVID restrictions and stay put, that creates a real dangerous situation for all of us. Because if they are out and about and mingling with individuals, can you imagine what else they could be doing in terms of food delivery services? I want to talk about the boyfriend here in a second, because I think it's worth bringing him into the conversation. So on Sunday, when we first heard about the story, we obviously knew who the young man was. We did not initially name him because I think there were still some question marks in terms of his involvement. But yesterday, the Cayman Islands Watercraft Association issued a press release in which they named him. And, okay, folks, this is the vet. I'm going to have to take this to just get an update on Coco. So just give me one quick second here. Just give me 1 second.
gotta find a way out. So many questions answered with an answer to tell. Too many things on my mind for anything to go well. It's a singing symphony, playing as the ship goes down. It's a porcelain epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. I gotta find a way out. Oh, it's a singing symphony, playing as the ship goes down. It's a porcelain epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. I gotta find a way out.
All right, folks. Okay, so that was the vet, and just getting an update on Coco. So the situation is pretty bad. She basically said that we're going to have to take it kind of day by day right now. Unfortunately, the wound, she was attacked by another dog is what happened. And the wound is, there's a gaping wound in her neck from where he had her. It's just unbelievable. But the wound is like shoulder to shoulder. And the doctor has just basically said that this is Dr. Brenda, who you guys know have had a lot of experience. And she has said that she wasn't expecting to see that level of damage. And basically her skin has been ripped from her neck and like shoulder blade area. And so she just wants us to prepare for, either way, it's going to be a long haul in terms of like hospitalization. And of course, the biggest concern is infection, if they can get the wound under control. So we're going to just try to stay strong. She's been like, she's really been like the best dog ever. Like, I mean, I've had dogs all my life. And I guess maybe I say this about every dog. I don't even know. But, I never really had a small dog before. Like, I was always a big dog kind of person. And as you guys know, 10 years ago, I was accused by the police of stealing a small dog. And it was so ridiculous at the time. But I had lost my two previous dogs couple years before that. And I wasn't really in the mindset to get another dog. So when this whole thing came up with Precious at the time, it kind of just opened my heart to the possibility of dog ownership. And then, there was there's a whole story about how I came to get Coco. That was like, it was just meant to be. Like, we were just meant to be together. And she's a really good dog. And since I've had my daughter, she's been like the most amazing dog to her. Toddlers can obviously try anybody's patience on a good day. And Coco is just like so sweet to her. And she's just a really good dog. So I'm hoping she can get through this. Of course, you don't want her to suffer unduly. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, I'm just gonna take a quick break, and then we can come back and continue the conversation. So just give me a couple minutes.
Oh, land of soft, fresh breezes, of verdant trees so fair, with the Creator's glory reflected everywhere.
All sea of palest emerald, merge into darkest blue.
When in my thoughts flying onward, I always think of you.
In verdant island set,
In blue Caribbean sea, I'm coming very soon.
oh beauty smile to thee. Although I wander far,
My heart enshrines thee yet. Homeland, ere Cayman Isles, I cannot be forget.
Okay, so there is the question of I was saying that after the Watercraft Association issued a press statement, they basically, obviously, they named Vanjay Ramjeet as the boyfriend. And like I said, we knew from the onset, who he was. He's one of the jet ski racers. And the Watercraft Association, they've taken a position that they will be fining him. They will be taking some sort of a disciplinary action. They actually haven't said what it would be yet, whether it's going to be a fine or something else. And, we'll have to just wait and see what they decide to do. But some people kind of felt a way about whether or not he should be penalized for something that she did. I mean, on the one hand, she's obviously an adult. She's her own person. But at the same time, she wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for him, let's be honest. She doesn't have any family here. And this is another question of how Travel Cayman is making the decision to allow people to come in. And, it's just, I mean, it kind of seems like anybody who wants to come is being allowed in. So you're not a fiance, you're not family member, or it's just my boyfriend. You don't own property here, and you're allowed to come in on the basis of your boyfriend. It is a little bit questionable on how she was even approved to enter the Cayman Islands. So there's that for sure. Now, thank you guys so much. What do you guys think about this? I mean, do you think the boyfriend should be held accountable? On the one hand, it isn't. Thank you so much for that message. I just received another message from another neighbor. The unfortunate situation is it wasn't just Coco, it was more than one dog last night. So you guys know, as much as I love dogs, when a dog has attacked two smaller dogs in one night, there's only one possible fate for that situation, unfortunately. And all I can say is, those dogs are going to have to be relinquished to the authorities, and the authorities are going to have to do what they've got to do. It's sad because, things happen, accidents happen, things happen, but at the same time, sometimes you have to, as a pet owner, understand the role that you play if you choose not to socialize your dog, if you choose to have dogs that never get out around other dogs, or, from day one, they didn't have proper socialization skills. They're just behind the fence, tied up, and have angst energy all the time. When they do get out, that energy explodes into normally not a very good situation. So, yeah. So a lot of you were of the opinion that he shouldn't be held accountable for her behavior. Other people did not quite see it that way. Other people said, listen, he, I guess, was her only point of contact on this island. He would have known, surely, that she was coming to support him for this jet ski event. And perhaps he needed to make it very clear to her, if it's your intentions to come to attend this event, because the timing suggests that that's exactly why she arrived on island, then it's probably not a good idea for you to come. Now, she's an adult. Yes. But how did she get to the event? Did he drive her there? Did she take a taxi there? He would have had to have told her about the event in the first place, where the event was located. So I don't think that the I don't think that the travel Cayman people will be able to do anything to him or about him. But I think that the Watercraft Association is trying to send a message that, listen, this was our event. You know, they had some major sponsors for the event. We do know that she was under somebody's tent. So it's not even, I'm a bit in awe at her actions, which obviously only she can really be held accountable for, to show up to a public event with a couple hundred people, knowing that you just got off of a plane from the US, traveled here. And not only do you do that, and you think, okay, well, what if she had kept her distance from people? Like, sat in the car and kind of watched the race, or she didn't do any of that. She was in close proximity with people, and she was actually holding someone's child. Now, you guys are astute observers. Someone sent me a picture of the child that she was holding, and there were government officials there, including, this is where it gets crazy, CBC officers, works officers. I mean, it was a well-attended event. You know, there were teenagers there, high schoolers. I know of one parent who had mentioned that she had dropped off her daughter at this event. So now the government will be undertaking the exercise of contact tracing. But you know, this has created quite a precarious situation for a lot of individuals. So, what do you guys think? Should he be held accountable? I'll read a comment here that someone sent in relation to this. Someone said, prosecutions or defenses cannot be based on emotions, but rather law. He aided and abetted her actions, or at a minimum, knew that she was in violation of the quarantine regulations, and thus potentially exposing tens, if not hundreds, to a COVID-19 infection. While we know now that the chances of her having or transmitting COVID-19 are slim, well, we don't necessarily know that, but let's play this out. Let's say that she is positive and contagious, and now only one other person caught it. Let's say it was a close family member of yours, and now he or she is in ICU. What would you say then? Please do not retort to how foreign versus locals are treated. Two wrongs do not make a right. So that was one comment that was posted on social media. Somebody else said, I agree with that 100%. Call a spade, simple. It couldn't have been my kid. If they are wrong, they're wrong, simple. So, you know, there is that question of how he should be held accountable. I guess the first question is if he should be held accountable, and then second to that, you know, how to do that really. Yes, Bruce, very much so. Trust me. I have lost dogs over the years that it was like the devastation. It's a loss. It's a family member. You know, there's no other way really to explain it. So I don't know what sanctioning powers the Jet Ski Association has. My concern is this young man, obviously, if he knew she was coming to the event and he permitted her to come to the event, the next logical question is, I'm sure, and I mean young people, you know, being what they are, young and not always thinking logically, I'm sure that he's probably been hanging out with her from the day she set foot in Cayman. It seems almost like a logical situation, really, because let's face it, young, full of hormones, no one's going to tell you, oh, your girlfriend's going to come in and you're not going to be able to see her for 15 days. The amount of restraint that takes for young people, I would find that so incredibly hard to believe that they had not seen each other in person before this obvious public breach. And again, I go back to the fact that this really becomes an issue in my mind of the authorities who approve applications having a fairly good idea of who to approve and who not to approve. Like, there's supposed to be a vetting process. There's supposed to be questions that need to be asked of individuals. So just like the last couple, they were only coming in for 14 days. Okay, why are you coming in for 14 days? What can you do in quarantine in 14 days that you can't do remotely? Because there will be some things, depending on their response and their answer to that question, that should be red flags that this couple or these individuals have no intentions of adhering to the provisions. So in the case of Skylar was coming to the Cayman Islands to, I don't know how long she's applied for, but she's staying at her boyfriend's residence. This is her dad, I believe. Her dad is a professional racer as well. She does not own a residence of her own here in the Cayman Islands. She has no blood relatives here in the Cayman Islands. So she's at the mercy of a boyfriend. And to me, I would just be like, no, this isn't a time for you to make that kind of a visit. Given her age, that would have also been another concern to me if I was part of the travel time crew, because I would have thought to myself, how likely is it that a 20-year-old or 21-year-old or however old she is, she's in her early 20s for sure, be able to abstain from involving herself in any kind of contact with her boyfriend, who she probably hasn't seen in months and months and months and months. I don't know how long they've been dating for, but this was a real red flag for me. It really, really was. And I think somebody missed the mark in terms of allowing her into the country in the first place. So there you have it. Bruce wants to know, does travel time Cayman require travelers to state the reason why? That's my question. They're supposed to be vetting these applications. And so, I would think that ascertaining why someone wants to come at this particular time is a key component of vetting the application. Like, you have to ask, because remember, there are only certain categories of people who are allowed in right now. Visitors are not allowed in. Tourists are not allowed in. The question has to be asked. Do you own property? What's your purpose of coming here? What's your connection to the island? All of those things. So I'm pretty sure, Bruce, that she would not have said, oh yeah, I'm coming in to attend the jet ski racing. I mean, obviously she wouldn't have said that to anybody. But at the end of the day, they needed to probe a little bit more. And in my honest opinion, I do not believe that that she should have been approved to come in, quite frankly. So Aliana, we're not sending her to heaven yet. We're still praying that the poor thing can get through this. Like I said, it doesn't really look too good at the moment. The wound itself, the one that's on her, runs the entire side of her neck, is quite bad. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a dog fight or a dog being attacked, but I have, unfortunately. This is the second major incident on Coco with 2 separate dogs. And listen, when a dog gets hold of another dog, there is no separating them. I was kicking this dog. I was doing everything in my power to try to free my dog, and it just wasn't happening. And literally, I think Coco at one point passed out, and this dog just dragged her like a rag doll and took off with her. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs. It was just complete mayhem. I was screaming at the top of my lungs to say to everyone, get my dog back, because I knew the more time he had with her, he was definitely going to kill her. And you, like I said, if you've ever seen a dog fight, once they grab on, they have no intentions of letting go. And, that was certainly the situation. And he was literally dragging her to what would have been it. And I was just like, oh my God, we can't allow this to happen. I got bug spray. I was spraying it in the dog's eyes. Like nothing was working in terms of getting this dog to let go of Coco. Yeah, Crystal, trust me. I understand that feeling. I'm just trying to, and like I said, I got injured in the process. The worst part of this was that my daughter was there for the beginning of this, and she saw this. And so, of course, in the middle of me screaming for help and trying to save Coco, I'm like, somebody grab Gigi, take her inside. I don't want her to see this. It was just horrible. And you know what is so ironic? Someone messaged me on someone messaged me on, I think it was Friday. About how they had gone to view a rental property. This was Saturday, actually. This person says, hi, good morning. Would you be interested in a dog bite story? So on Saturday, November the 21st, I went to look at a room that was advertised, available for rent, and went walking with the man, showing me the room. And their dog barked at me and was directed to stay aside. Moments after our backs turned, the dog ran and attacked me and bit my ankle. Luckily, I was wearing sneakers. I have a deep ankle wound, 3 stitches, 2 injections, and a crazy fear of dogs now. And so this person just on Saturday sent this to me. I hadn't even had an opportunity to do anything with it. They said that they called animal control, went to the hospital. The owner went to the hospital after I was there and paid my first bill for the tetanus and anesthesia, etc. I was so frightened. It was a mongrel yard dog, but it was full grown, big in size, somewhat old, and black in color. And so, in a very ironic way, this story came to us on Saturday. And so this person shared their ankle wound. So this is what happened to them from a dog. And listen, just last week on our Caribbean Connection Wednesdays, we were talking about, a vicious dog attack in Jamaica that has left a child hospitalized in the US, fighting for its life because it was attacked by multiple dogs, which of course is the worst. But dogs are pack animals. And even what I saw last night, it was 2 dogs. And what you find happens is one might start the attack, and then the more aggressive dog tends to take over. And it's a much more complex situation when it's multiple dogs, for sure. And so, it's a tough situation. It really is a tough situation. A lot of people don't understand the psychology of dogs. Nicola, yeah, it would have been hard to get to water where this happened. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say at this point. So I think just continued prayers. That poor little Coco. She's such a trooper. She's been such a great little dog. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. So she's still hanging in there, Gadiel. So we'll see what happens. The laws are not the best when it comes to animal control. But there are laws in place, obviously. There is the animal law, which I'm somewhat familiar with. And Paula, thank you so much. I know that you've got a missing dog named Coco as well. I feel like those of us who have smaller dogs are always at risk. Always, always at risk. You've got it. You can't keep your dog locked inside 24/7. You've got to walk your dog. You've got to... this happened on our property, but at some point the dog has to go outside. And so you just never know. And it's just crazy. So I want to talk about a podcast that, not a podcast, but a video that has been going around that in my mind is highly disrespectful. I'm going to play it for you guys first. I got it last night. And, everyone is trying to be a joker for social media clout, I guess. And I don't know why people think it's cool to insult other people's country, especially when you're in the country. Listen to me. I have lived in Clint. We're going to have that conversation because that was the previous situation I had before where we used to live. And unfortunately, the police do not take these situations probably as seriously as they need to. And that's why a lot of times people find it necessary to take actions or matters into their own hands, which is quite unfortunate. But I don't know why people come to Cayman and then they think that it's cool, it's okay to disrespect us as Caymanians, that they can make fun of us, they can make fun of our laws, they can make fun of our people. As someone who has lived abroad, let me put it this way. There's a certain measure of respect that you have when you're in another man's country. If you're in another person's country and you are unhappy, then you need to leave. Hopefully, there would be no one in this country. I can't speak about anywhere else in the world, but hopefully there will be no one in the Cayman Islands who is here against their own free will. And, if you are here against your own free will, That is against the laws of this country. It's against your human rights. And so I would encourage you to take all necessary steps to contact the authorities so that you can leave. If someone has kidnapped you and they're holding you here, then by all means, let us know, because we do not want that type of a reputation. You know, but if you come here, maybe you had a pipe dream about how great Cayman was going to be. I don't know. And then you change your mind, right? So someone's taking advantage of you in terms of immigration. They're not paying your work permit fee. The wages you were promised are not what you're promised. There was a reason why immigration always used to say you needed to have a return ticket. So, sorry, my apologies. This is the police station. Just give me 1 second. Yes.
Magandang araw po mga kababayan, Joy Anglin po. Nabili na po ba ninyo ang dish pack ng Miracle Brokers?
It's not really looking good. She's at the vet, but the vet just called this morning. They said the injuries are substantial. There's a wound that runs shoulder to shoulder, the back of her neck.
Halina po kayo dito sa Miracle Brokers.
Yeah, the dog
Miski
was
pwede
gonna
pong ilagay
kill her,
dito sa box. Pera lang po ang jowa nyo.
Contact us at 949
I don't know what they are. They look like they're just
email
mixed
us at
dogs, but I don't know.
info@miraclebrokers.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
All right, folks. As you can imagine, there's a lot going on around here this morning. So the authorities were obviously notified, and they're just giving us a call to see what the next steps will be. Oh, sorry. I forgot to mute my mic. Amanda, my apologies. Anyway, I was saying that, so there's this video that's going viral this morning of a Jamaican lady who I think she's trying to be funny. I don't know, because it's not funny. It's insulting. And so I don't know what her end game is here. Have a look at the video, folks. Just give me 1 second to bring it up. Louis, thank you so much. Louis says he's been shoveling snow this morning. Hi, Alice. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right, here we go, folks.
You see that place that we call Cayman Island Immigration. You see people them are born and grow, yeah? Them have a tendency. Just tell them to go suck them mother. Just they run come right here, so. Right there, so you know? But you see, if you did that from Kingston to St. Elizabeth, they would not come there every day, so you know? They would not come there every day. Just check it. If you did that from Kingston to you think every day they would have each up out there report on people? That would have never happened. You see, any direction you're there, 10 minutes to take it to come right here, so. Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah, you never know, so you could have drive out the island 6 to 8 times in space of one day. The way it's small. But honestly, guys, I think you guys take it for granted, though. Yeah, I do. I really, really do.
I guess this woman is trying to be funny. So she insults us on the one hand, and then tongue-in-cheek claims that we're taking it for granted. It seems to me, young lady, whoever you are, that you're taking it for granted because you don't have to be here. You know, this, in my opinion, is one of the best places in the world to be. Certainly, that's why we have over 130 different nationalities here. It can't be that it's the worst place and everybody's flocking here because it's the worst. Do we have our challenges? Do we have issues that we need to be working on? Of course we do. Like everywhere else in the world. You know, honestly, it's disrespectful. I don't know who you are, honey, and it won't take long to find your name and to figure out who you are. I'm sure that it's already gone viral. I got it last night, but because of everything that happened, I didn't even have a chance to put it up. But you don't have to be here. No one's forcing you to be here. I think what you don't do is you don't disrespect people. You don't talk about, I mean, let me just watch this again, because to be honest, I have a hard time understanding exactly all of what she's saying, but she starts out by insulting us.
You see that place that we call Cayman Island Immigration? You see people them are born and grow, yeah? Them have a tendency. Just tell them to go suck them mother. Just they run come right here, so. Right there, so you know? But you see, if you did that from Kingston to St. Elizabeth, they would not come there every day, so you know? They would not come there every day. Just check it. If you did that from Kingston to you think every day they would have each up out there report on people? That would have never happened. You see, any direction you're there, 10 minutes to take it to come right here, so. Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah, you never know, so you could have drive out the island 6 to 8 times in space of one day. The way it's small. But honestly, guys, I think you guys take it for granted, though. Yeah, I do. I really, really do.
So, I don't know who she is. She is obviously ignorant and more levels than one. She says that someone reported her. I mean, I don't know. She tells us to go suck your mother, which is the height of insult to tell an entire nationality of people. It just reminds me of a lot of what we are importing into this country and why we need to be more selective, right? Not every person should have the privilege of living and working in the Cayman Islands. That's what CBC and immigration controls are supposed to be about. But we are so used to just rubber stamping everyone to come in. No matter who you are, where you come from, no credentials, no respect, no nothing. We just, boop, come on in. Floodgates are open. And as a result of that, I have no doubt that we import people with criminal records. We import people that wouldn't be able to get a job anywhere else in the world. So we ourselves need to do a better job. I don't know why she's here, where she's working, or who she's visiting, but in my opinion, she has just become a persona non grata. And she should be given the first plane out of the Cayman Islands. So we'll pay for your ticket, girl. Just tell us who you are. We will certainly pay. We'll chip in, pay for your ticket so that you are able to leave. So leave. It's simple. A lot of you are sharing my opinion that this is incredibly disrespectful. Cayman is only a 45-minute airplane between here and Jamaica. She's saying, oh, you know, if this was in Jamaica and Kingston, it wouldn't go so and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a lot of things that happen in Cayman that don't happen in Jamaica and vice versa. Sometimes it's a good thing. And sometimes, our Jamaican brothers and sisters set a better example of how to handle certain things. This is the height of disrespect. Comparing our immigration system to your immigration system in terms of, oh, it wouldn't go so, what somebody would do to you. The level of ignorance and violence that is tolerated in Jamaica is a sad indictment on your country. And it's not every single person in the country, obviously. But persons like you who make those types of comments reflect poorly on Jamaica. And you're one of the reasons why people judge Jamaicans, just like we have ignorant Caymanians. And people will judge all of the Cayman Islands based on those few ignorant people. So, if her intent was to go viral, trust me. Answered, you asked, and your prayer has been answered. Maybe she wanted a free ticket back to Jamaica for the holidays and she couldn't afford it. So let us get our funds together, folks, and get her a one-way ticket out of here. Anybody knows who this woman is? Where does she work? Why would someone be reporting her? What was she doing here? Suzette says she hopes she's not taking care of anybody's child. Lord have mercy. Yeah, I mean, come on. You take something like that, you post it on TikTok. That was exactly what I was going to say, Crystal. Clearly, you're looking for some attention. No one has ever paid you any mind before. And I'm not going to go low this morning because my little spirit dog, Coco, is saying, keep it professional this morning, Mama. Because there's so many things I could say about your desire to get attention. And perhaps it speaks to the fact that you're not getting attention other places. So Nicholas is interpreting what was said. And Nicholas, I appreciate this because I'm hearing bits and pieces, but I'm not really getting the full. To be honest, the accent is very difficult. So Nicholas says she's saying, if you tell a Caymanian to go suck your mother, they will run to immigration and report you. She wasn't telling the nation to suck their mother. She also went in to say that if the distance was greater, people wouldn't be at immigration every day like that, and that the island is small. That's what she said. Okay. Let's listen to it again because I didn't get that, but I appreciate that I'm not understanding the accent. So let's listen to it one more time.
You see that place that we call Cayman Island Immigration. You see people them are born and grow, yeah? Them have a tendency. Just tell them to go suck them mother. Just they run come right here, so. Right there, so, you know? But you see, if it did the...
So it says that they have a tendency. Go tell them, go suck their mother. And then they come right here, so. So, I mean, I still hearing her say, go tell them to go suck their mother. And then they're going to come and complain to immigration. She didn't really say, if you tell them that. She's like, go tell them to do it. And then they're going to come and complain on you. Oh, Izzy, please. We soon have her number, her date of birth, her digits, the 411, the 511, the 611, everything before we end up calling 911. Nicholas, thanks for the interpretation, but I don't know. I'm still insulted by it. Even her half-ass compliment at the end about where she claims that, oh, we take advantage of everything here in Cayman, whatever, we take advantage. She's rolling her eyes like she's saying that, but she doesn't really mean it. So I don't know, boy. That just sounds very, very disrespectful to me. Crystal says hashtag proud to be Caymanian. Melita says regardless, she's insulted the modesty of a woman. Well, I don't even. This is just so stupid and so ignorant. Who is this woman? It would say. I mean, listen. To me, there's certain types of attention that you shouldn't want in this life, and putting up a video like that about the Cayman Islands, or she's not directing it to any one person, so I guess she's talking to the nation as a whole, seems like the height of disrespect to me. So I can't give her a pass, and maybe she's going to be jackass of the day. Yeah, Crystal says, telling someone to go suck your mother is like the worst thing you can say to a person in Jamaican culture, probably. Listen, anywhere in the world, you mention people's mother, your mommy, and trust me, those are like fighting words, right? People will box you down for insulting their mother, believe me, you. So I guess she's trying to be sarcastic. I don't know. It's not funny. It's just disrespectful. So Nicholas says anyone would be insulted by it because no one wants to be told about their mother. I don't even like hearing someone telling it to someone I don't even know. Yeah, it is. It's like, what's the point? What was the point of that video? She's upset about something. She's at immigration. She doesn't want to stand in line. Well, what's the problem? Like I said, we can help you. We can help you leave. Listen, Christmas is 24 days away, girlfriend. You can be out of here. And on the next flight, we will speed dial Cayman Airways and find out how to get you on that plane. We'll make space for you. Offload some cargo, lighten the flight so that we can get one more person on board. Walton says that I think she's saying that if you ever say anything out of line to us, we run to immigration to complain. But if we were in any place, Jamaica, it would be a different story. She's just an ignorant person. And what would the different story be in Jamaica? Like, what is she really trying to say? Nosy Naz says, we say mother skunk. The entire video was despicable, says Crystal. Shirley, good morning. Thank you so much. Marshall says, telling people about their mother is a regular thing for Jamaicans to say. It's not a secret. That's the first thing that comes out of their nasty mouths. So I don't want this to go down into a conversation of, things that we are saying and categorizing Jamaicans as a whole, because we wouldn't be no better than her, to be honest. And that's certainly not the first thing that comes out of my husband's mouth, and he's a Jamaican. He would never say anything like that. Trust me, never in a million years. He's just not that kind of person. In fact, I'm probably the one with the potty mouth around the place, but definitely not him. So the point is, people come in all shapes and sizes and all backgrounds for sure, and we import them all. And some people do not deserve the privilege of being amongst us. Simple, simple, simple. This lady, and I use that term as loosely as possible, given her demeanor, clearly does not need to be here. Disrespectful, rude. And like I said, what is the point? You wanted to go viral. There's a lot of things that you can go viral for. Like positive things. You don't have to go viral for castigating people and being negative. What a hot mess. Folks, Some people just leave you speechless. I gotta tell you the truth. And this is one of those that. So yesterday during the show, there was this talk of something going on within the education department. A few parents and others contacted us to say, listen, there was this approval on Saturday. There was some meeting that they had for teachers. And there was some approval given that teachers would get 4 weeks additional time. Or not additional, 4 weeks in total. So that people would have time to go home for Christmas, or foreign teachers, spend time with their families, and then be able to come back in quarantine, obviously. And so one of the issues that was brought up was that we were told that the education department should be issuing some sort of press release, which, by the way, they haven't as yet. We haven't seen it, where the solution was going to be to have children involved in e-learning for those 2 weeks, which I was thinking, who's going to be teaching them, though? Because if I don't know how many teachers are going to go overseas for Christmas, but if teachers go overseas for Christmas, obviously you have a shortage and they're not going to be on their vacations teaching school from the UK, Canada, or wherever. So I thought, well, that seems a bit impractical. How logistically were they going to work that out? Later on in the day, what I heard in terms of the solution was that apparently what they were thinking of doing and what had been approved, according to some sources, my apologies, is that they were going to give teachers, everybody gets 4 weeks, teachers and obviously the children. And then later on in the school year, towards the summer, they were going to tag on or make up for the 2 weeks. So the kids will make it up. It's just that the kids are going to make it up a bit later on in the year. So we've not received the press releases yet about this. So we don't have official confirmation from government. But everyone who was there has basically told us that there's some form of that solution coming forward. There's supposed to be an amendment to the education calendar. When I first heard this, I was of two minds, really, because you know, on the one hand, I sympathize with teachers who are here from other places and who have family members from overseas that obviously they haven't seen in a while. You know, if that is the case, they deserve to be able to go home for Christmas. I mean, who doesn't want to see their family members for Christmas? But I also, on the opposite hand, sympathize with parents who are here, who have jobs. Because of COVID, obviously, most employers are forced to allow whoever could work from home to work from home. And if you're in a household where you've already taken like time off this year, you've already planned your vacation, maybe you only get 2 weeks, it now presents a very difficult situation for you to be able to arrange to take additional time off. And I know how difficult that can be, you know. So some people can't afford to have a nanny or a helper at home. They didn't make those plans, so it looks like it's coming down the pipeline in some form or another. The kids will be out for at least 4 weeks during the Christmas holidays. I guess all we can ask is for employers, if possible, to be flexible, to allow people to remotely work, which we have seen can work and has worked for, a lot of individuals. But there will be parents who will find this extremely challenging. And I don't know what the solution is going to be in terms of how they will work around that. One person pointed out that they work in a finance capacity within government. And, with government's year end coming up, they're like, there's so much work to do that I can't work remotely. I need to be in the office. So there are people who are very unhappy about the situation. And we'll have to see what the education ministry eventually has to say about it. So naturally, we're the only ones talking about it, but it seems like it's in some form or another a done deal. We'll try to flesh out the details and see exactly what will happen. One of the other things I'm working on for you guys is trying to get some information on CNB. I understand that there have been some increases in fees. A lot of people have been talking about it on social media. And I wanted to reach out to them and get the facts before we said anything about this. You guys know that CNB is my primary bank, and I have always found them to be a pretty good bank. And I, stand by a lot of their hardworking employees. I know that during COVID, they were, I think, the only bank that really was holding their staff down. They gave them, just $1,000 or something, just cash to, hey, do whatever. They, even during that time, I was told that they had increased salaries for some individuals, which shows that they certainly care for their largely Caymanian employees. So what is the staff? What are the fees now? That's what we're going to be looking into. Nicholas says, question is how people normally work in the summer when kids aren't at school. I don't know, Nicholas. I guess during the summer, they may have some plans already, like in advance. So some parents do like summer camps and other things that are not necessarily available in the month of December. I don't know if anybody's doing any camps. So I do think that there are other activities in the summer months that kids can get involved in that are probably not going to be available around Christmas time. The other thing, Nicholas, is knowing that kids, get summer breaks. A lot of parents will take their vacation around that time. So one parent will take, like if they get a month, the second parent will take another month, and then they kind of work it out that way. But this kind of forces you to take at least an additional 2 weeks potentially off that you had not planned for. And so I sympathize with parents. I think it's a difficult situation. Someone said that potentially I've just gotten this message. Thank you so much for this. This is what I love about this show is we get real-time information. So someone said that they're looking at maybe YMCA or sports to run camps. All details have not been worked out as yet. Well, work out some of those details because I think honestly, parents are going to need a little bit of a helping hand during the Christmas season in terms of this. Jacinta, Maureen, thank you. Jacinta says, suggestion, let the teachers go have their full vacation time. When they come back to quarantine time reopening, each teach their children back in the classroom via video. I may be presumptive, but I'm sure that there are parents who are willing to volunteer their time to chaperone these class sessions at the school. Okay. I don't know. Those are the details that we need, folks. Work it out, ministry, and let us know. To me, you kind of, when you make an announcement like this, in my mind, these finer details should have been worked out so that you don't create panic. You say to parents, hey, yes, everybody's getting a month, but here's what we have in place for kids to do during the extra 2 weeks of Christmas break. Here's how we're going to help parents. This is the game plan. You don't make an announcement with no game plan. And that's where I'm like, in my head, like, now you're working on a game plan, mostly because parents are like, WTF, I can't make this work. What's going on here? So as we say in the Caribbean, you're putting the tail before the horse. And you're supposed to lead with the head, not the rear end. So figure it out. Folks, I'm going to end the show just a few minutes early today. I do need to get on the phone and, really and sort out some stuff in terms of Coco this morning. And I will keep you guys updated. I'm not 100% sure if we will have a show tonight or not. I'll keep you guys updated. Of course, the worst part of this is we have a 4-year-old who loves Coco. We all love Coco, but I'm not so sure that she's going to fully understand all of what's transpiring. So she woke up this morning. She's like, where's Coco? Why is Coco still at the doctor's? Like, she doesn't understand the extent of what happened last night, although she saw it, which is probably a good thing because she would probably be less traumatized. But luckily, there were some friends over at the time who were able to take her inside. And my girlfriend was like, oh my gosh, Gigi's poor little heartbeat her heart was beating so fast. So we're all going to hang in there. Continued prayers for Coco, of course, that she will pull through this. She's a good little dog, and she's definitely a little fighter. So we will see what happens. All right, folks, please be safe today. Have a good day. I've got a banged up knee now that, as you guys know, and I already had a torn meniscus, and that probably tore it even more last night. So I'm not sure even what to do with that at this stage. I'm just kind of hopping around, trying to pop some painkillers and not worry about that too much until later on. I have been doing physiotherapy, so this may mean that I just need to increase some of that. I don't know if I'm going to need another MRI. I'll kind of have to monitor it and see how it feels in a couple days. So yeah. All right, folks. Thank you guys, as usual, for tuning into the program this morning. I hope that you found the information useful and that we can all, again, try to understand some of what's happening in the country and just try to make Cayman the best place in the world. I mean, people want to make fun of us, but listen, you can't touch, for me, there's no place like home. I lived in the States for 15 years. I respected the American people when I was there. I never disrespected them. And every time I would come home, I didn't come home a whole lot in those 15 years, but when I would come home, I would want to kiss that tarmac at the airport, because there really is nowhere. Oh God, my knee, sorry. There really is nowhere like home. And, it's just, there's so many things as a Caymanian, having lived abroad, that I missed out on, like, just the mangoes and sauce and the plums and, things that children do here, the relative safety of growing up here in the Cayman Islands that you don't have elsewhere in the world. It's a different experience. It's a unique experience. It's a beautiful experience. The other day, our regional correspondent wrote a story about how there's like 500 children in Jamaica missing. They don't know where these kids are. They don't know if they're dead, if they're kidnapped, they're just missing. And I thought, wow, how privileged are we to live in a country where we can wake up this morning, no police reports that there are any kids missing. Everybody knows where their children are. No, not every child is in the best environment. Not every child is 100% safe, but we're in a far better position than any. Morna says today's her grandson's birthday, Jahari Reed. He's 10 years old. So big shout out and happy birthday to him. Send us his picture, Morna, and we'll put him up on Facebook and Instagram as part of our birthday club. Folks, have a good day. And I'll see you possibly this evening. If you don't see me, you kind of know. I'll be just taking a break. Okay?
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.